Om Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Namah Paramarishibhyo Namah Paramarishibhyah. Om Namah Paramarishibhyo Namah Paramarishibhyah. नीलातुङ्गस्तनगिरि तटे सुप्तमुद्बोध्य कृष्णं पारार्ध्यं स्वं श्रुतिशतशिरःसिद्धमध्यापयन्ति स्वोच्छिष्टायां सृजनिगणितं याबलात्कृत्य भुङ्क्ते गोदा तस्यै नम इदमिदं भूय एवास्तु भूयः. Today we will delve into the 12th Pasuram. கனைத்திலங்கத்து எருமை கன்றுகிறங்கி நினைத்துமுடைய வழியே நின்றுபார் சோரா நனைத்தில் செய்தார்க்கும் நச்செல்வன் தங்காய் பனித்தலை வீணனின் வாசற் கடை பத்தி சினத்தினால் தென்னிலங்கை கோமானை செத்த மனத்துக்கு நீ யானை பாடவும் நீவாய் திறவாய் இனித்தான் நெடுந்திராய் ஈதென்ன பேருறக்கும் அனைத்தில் எத்தாரும் அழிந்தேலோர் எம்பாவாய். So this is the Pasuram. Napinaji, will you be able to sing?
Sure, Swami Jai Shri Narayana.
Yes, please go.
கனைத்திலங்கற்றருமை கன்று கிறங்கி நினைத்து முலை வழியே நின்று பால் சோர நனைத்தில்லம் சேராக்கும் நற்செல்வன் தங்காய் பனித்தலை வீழனின் வாசற்கடை பற்றி சினத்தினால் தென்னிலங்கை கோமானை செற்ற மனத்து கினியானை பாடவும் நீவாய் திறவாய் இனித்தார் எழுதீராய் ஈதென்ன பேருறக்கம் அனைத்தில்லத்தாரும் அறிந்தேலோர்யம் பாவாய். ஆண்டாள் திருவடிகளே சரணம்.
ஆண்டாள் திருவடிகளே சரணம். So we will get into the meaning of this Pasuram. கனைத்து இளம் கற்று எருமையை கன்றுக்கிறங்கி. This is the first line. This is talking externally. Today they are talking, they have visited the house of another Gopika today and they are trying to wake her up. Right? Now they are trying to describe the situation at that Gopika's place. Right? So we'll first try to understand the external meaning. Here what they are trying to describe is kanait means there is some sort of screaming that the buffaloes are doing. So they are describing that scene at that Gopika's place. Okay. So the screaming calls out of desperation that the buffaloes are doing. Okay. Ilam katra erumai means buffaloes. Erumai means buffalo, right? So buffaloes that have young calves. Okay. They are the ones that are screaming. Okay. Why are they screaming? Irangai, out of compassion. Okay. Out of vaathsalyam towards the young ones, they are screaming. Kandrak, towards their little ones. Okay, this is why they are screaming. So buffaloes having the young ones, they are screaming desperately for their young ones. Why are they screaming? The situation here is apparently they have come to the house of a certain Gopika today. This Gopika happens to be the sister of a certain Gopa. Okay. Now that particular Gopa, apparently, what did he do? He is so busy in his service to Krishna. That means he's always with Krishna. That is how the nature of that particular Gopabala was. So as a result of that, he always used to ignore his duties. So milking these buffaloes and cows, these are the duties of these people, cowherd people, right? So this particular Gopa today was someone who has ignored that duty. And as a result of that, what is happening naturally, when the time of giving milk comes, right, these buffaloes and so on, they naturally start beating, right, because they start getting milk and they want the young ones to come and take, but there is no one to release those young ones. The young ones are tied up somewhere, so there is no one to release them. That is on the one side. On the other side, they themselves are experiencing an outflow of milk coming in them. As a result of that, there is a sort of unrest that they are experiencing. So that is what Andal is trying to describe here. Okay, in the first line. Then நினைத்து முலியே வழியே நின்று பால் சோரா நனைத்தில்லாம் சேரார்க்கும் நச்சல்வன் தங்காய். This is what she is describing here. So what is happening to them? Ninaitu means thinking of the little ones, right? Mulai vadiye nindru paal sora. What is happening? Milk is continuously flowing from their udders. Thinking about their little ones. Okay, milk is coming in them. Illam nanaitu. As a result, what is happening? That milk is flooding the entire floor, entire house. Okay. Serakum, and the house is full of mud. No, typically what, it's not like these gopas and so on. They had it was just muddy lands on which these buffaloes and cows were tied and so on, right? So as a result, that muddy lands were completely becoming wet with the milk that was flowing out from these buffaloes. But despite all of this, there's nobody to milk them out. Okay, so this is the situation. Now, Null Selvan means a very wealthy person. Tangai, or sister of such a wealthy person. What kind of a wealthy person? Person who has ignored his duty of milking the buffaloes. As a result of which, what is happening to the buffaloes? They are screaming, right? Out of desperation, out of a sort of restlessness that they are experiencing. They are screaming. See, looking at the young ones, which are tied out somewhere, they are just screaming, waiting to see someone if someone is going to milk them out. But that is not happening, as a result of which milk is just flowing from their udders and it is just wetting the entire land below. So this is what Andal is describing. Now, what they are saying, Panittalai Veelanin Vasal Kadai Patti, she is saying, right? Pani means now they are describing their own situation. Okay. So in the first few lines, Andal, she has tried to describe the situation of the gopis. Okay, the gopis who were the situation of the gopi and the family to which she belongs, right? She apparently belongs, she is the Tangai, she is a sister of, Null Selvan. That means some very wealthy gopa whose nature is such that he has ignored his duties and he went out somewhere along with Krishna. Okay, now as a result, the buffaloes are, experiencing some sort of unrest. Okay, that is the situation with their family. Now they are describing about their own situation. All these gopikas, they have arrived at the doorstep of this particular gopika, right? So once they have arrived at the doorstep, what is their own situation? Remember, what is the time at which these gopis have started? It is very early in the morning and it is the month of Margali, right? So it's very cold outside. So they were apparently experiencing some mist, some snow, dew falling from the top, right? So from the top, they were experiencing some snow. And on the bottom also, apparently these buffaloes have completely wetted the entire land with milk, as a result of which everything is so slippery, right? And on the floor, right? This is the situation that they are in. So as a result, what are they doing? Pani means there is snow. Talai, on the heads, tala, right? On the heads there is snow. Veela, it is falling. Panittalai veela, that means snow is falling on their head. Nin vasal kadai patti. So as a result, what are they doing? To prevent themselves from falling, slipping and falling, they are holding on to the entrance beam, right, of the home, so that they don't fall, they don't slip and fall, because there is snowfall apparently from one side. From the other side, there is just wet floor, right? And they are just afraid that they'll just slip and fall. So they are just holding on to the beams. That's what they are describing. See, this is our situation. Your brother has ignored everything, and you are the sister of such a brother. So we can only understand. So indirectly, what are they saying? They're trying to indicate that we know what kind of a brother you have, and by the nature of that brother who has ignored all his duties, we know what kind of a person you are. You will also ignore everybody. Even if we come and call, you will not respond to us, right? But look at our situation, right? In this such a cold morning, we came to your doorstep and we are waiting and calling out for you, right? And the floor is also very slippery. Please understand our situation and come out. This is the call that they are making to the gopi inside. Okay, so in vasal kadai patti, that means we are holding on to the entrance beam of your house. Shinathinal tennilangai komanai chetta manattukkiniyanai paadavum nivai tiravai. So here they are saying, instead of describing about Krishna, this time they are singing about Ramachandra. Why? Because what is the difference between Rama and Krishna? There is an interesting difference between them. Krishna, even though his nature is that if someone is crying for him, he will just leave them and go away, right? Gopikas were crying for him, for Krishna's sake. But, he left to Mathura and they were left crying like that for a long time, right? Yashoda was crying for him. Everybody in Vrindavana was crying for him. But he went to Mathura and he remained in Mathura for a long time. He didn't come back for a long time, right? As opposed to Ramachandra, who, he experienced a suffering of Sita Devi himself. That Sita Devi was taken away from him. And for the sake of that Sita Devi, Rama came all the way to Lanka, fought with Ravana, killed that Ravana and took that Sita Devi. So that means Rama's nature and Krishna's nature are being contrasted here. Right? This is just an experience. Later on, they'll come to the conclusion that this Rama and Krishna are the same person. But here, for the sake of contrast, they are providing that Krishna, he is someone, if someone is suffering, then he will not respond. But Ramachandra, he'll respond immediately to that suffering because his heart is very soft. So that is the thing that they are expressing here. Who is this Ramachandra? Chinattinal means out of anger that Sita Devi is being tortured. Ten Ilankai means the southern Lanka, Lanka which is to the south, right? Komanai Chatta. Komanai means the king. So out of anger that Sita Devi was being tortured, what does this Rama do? Cheta, he killed Komanai, the king, Tennilankai of the Lanka which is to the south. Right? This is an activity that they are describing. That means they are just saying that Rama is someone who is more immediately actionable compared to Krishna. Right? Rama immediately takes an action to protect a suffering soul compared to Krishna is what they are feeling. Why are they saying like that? Because we know you are a Gopika who is absorbed in Krishna. So if Krishna's mood is like that, you are also a hard-hearted person like that. You will not respond immediately. At least if we talk about Rama, maybe your heart will change. Right? This is how someone could respond. Right? Rama came running all the way from North India, somewhere in the middle when they were in Dandakaranya, Sita Devi was stolen away from Ramachandra. All the way from middle India, central India, he went all the way till Lanka, which is towards the south. Right? So he took a huge leap to protect, someone who has taken shelter of him. This is the nature of Ramachandra. This is the point that they are glorifying and saying that we have come to your shelter. You are not even getting up from your bed and coming out of the door. Look at Rama. He came all the way from central India to, somewhere south, but you are not even moving slightly. You are not responding even slightly. So, therefore, Manattukki iniyane paadavam nivai tiravai. Nivai tiravai. You are not even opening your mouth. Manattukki iniyane. This Rama is someone who is pleasing to our minds because of this reason, right? Padavam, we are singing about that Ramachandra, right? This nature of Rama is that he is giving happiness to our hearts because he responds to someone's sufferings immediately. So we are singing Padavam, we are singing about him. Nivai Tiravai, you are not even opening your mouth, right? Why are you not responding? This is what they are saying. Enittan edundirai idanna perurakkum. Now they are saying, Enittan, at least now, Edindirai, please get up. After talking about Ramachandra, at least there should be some response from you. Idanna perurakkum. What is this great sleep? You have such a powerful sleep. What is the purpose of this sleep? KanaitthilangattRu arindelor embavai. So all the people already know about your sleep, your big sleep. So now that means you have become so famous already that you don't respond to anything. Please get up now from this and please come out. This is our Vratam, Elor Embavai. So again, just to summarize what is the external meaning of this, what the external meaning of this Pasuram is, the Gopikas have arrived at the house of a certain Gopika today, right? And then this Gopika happens to be the sister of a certain Gopapala. This Gopapala was someone who has ignored his material duties, right? What is the duties of Gopas? To milk the cows every day and to make sure that, milk is taken care of and the calves are released and they come. So this is their daily duty. So this Gopa apparently, he has ignored his material duty. And as a result of that, the buffaloes, they are, experiencing some sort of unrest, looking at their young ones which are tied up at a distant place and looking at the milk that is coming in their own bodies. As a result of which they have waited for some time and unable to contain themselves, they have started, the milk started pouring out of their udders and that milk has completely wet the land there. Now, as far as these Gopikas are concerned, now that milk was flowing, it's not like these buffaloes and cows are RBST treated and all, right? They were shown so much love that naturally so much milk came out of their bodies. 10 to 15 liters of milk used to come. It's not like very difficult to produce 1 or 2 liters of milk. No, not like that. And they had hundreds. He is apparently a null selvan, right? He's a very wealthy gopa. So wealthy person means they must be owning so many buffaloes, so many cows. So we can imagine how much all of them were completely, wetting the entire land, because apparently he didn't do it for anybody. He just went somewhere, right? So now the entire land is wet. It's completely drenched as if rain has fallen, right? It's very slippery. On the top, there is snow falling, right? Because of which the entire land is very, very slippery, because of which these girls they're holding onto a certain beam of the entrance. Now they are saying, this is our situation. Despite that, you are not responding. How is it that you cannot respond? Therefore, we will sing about the names of Rama, because Rama was someone who has responded to the call of someone who has taken shelter of him. At least hearing about Rama's nature, you may respond to us, right? He came all the way from central India to Lanka, which is to the south. At least you can open the door and come out of your own house. We are at the entrance. This is the minimum thing that we are asking. So please open your mouth and please come out. Entire city, you have become very famous. All the news and media channels, they have already started talking about, why is this girl not waking up? What is wrong with this girl, and so on. All the headlines are coming everywhere in all the channels. So please wake up. This is what they are saying. This is the Vrata. Now let us try to understand the inner meaning of this particular Pasuram. They are talking about Erumai. Erumai means buffalo. What is a buffalo? In Sanskrit, Erumai is called Mahishi. Mahishi, buffalo is called a Mahishi. Mahishi is generally referred to Lakshmi Devi. She's called Deva Deva Divya Mahishi, right? So the nature of Lakshmi Devi is that she acts as a mediator between Jiva and Paramatma. All the problems of the Jiva, she is the one who petitions in front of Paramatma, and she is the one who makes sure that Paramatma's grace falls on the Jiva and the Jiva gets the help that the Jiva needs. This is the nature of Lakshmi Devi, right? She is Daya personified. Now, here we are talking about Erumai, means we are talking about many, many such buffaloes. That means it is the Acharyas who, are in the mood of the Lakshmi Devi, right? What do the Acharyas do? We by ourselves, we have committed so many sins that we don't even have any qualification of directly approaching the Lord, right? If we come and pray, the Lord will not even listen. So the only way for us is to approach through the Acharyas, right? Acharya is the person who prays on our behalf to Perumal. And that prayer, Perumal listens. So here it is talking about Acharya Tattvam, that is capable of forming that relationship between Jiva and Paramatma. What is the nature of this Jiva? The nature of this Jiva is that the Jiva is just like the calf. What is the nature of a calf? The nature of a calf is that a calf cannot take care of itself. It cannot protect itself. It cannot maintain itself. It cannot make itself grow. All it has to do is it has to completely depend on the milk coming from the mother, right? That is the nature of a calf, right? Now, this calf is referring to all the jivas who are in samsara, who are incapable of their own deliverance. They cannot deliver themselves. They cannot maintain themselves on a spiritual path. Even if they come, they are so much attracted to material things that they cannot sustain themselves on a spiritual path. They can neither uplift themselves, nor can they take care of themselves, nor can they protect themselves. This is the nature of jivas. So these jivas are like calves. Now what should they need? They need a constant supply of milk for their maintenance, for their protection, right? That is what the calves need, right? What is this milk? This milk is the nature of the Supreme Lord, right? That is Lord's Swarupa, Rupa, Guna, Vibhava, all these things. That is the milk that they need. That is the milk that they don't have, because of which they are unable to sustain themselves. That means only when we know about how great God is, how glorious God is, how great his pastimes are, how great his compassion is, his ability to protect everybody is, his ability to, deliver the fallen souls is, unimaginable powers he has got, unimaginable qualities he has got. Unless we hear about these things, we will not get attracted to him. Only when we get attracted to him, there is some scope, some reasonable, expectation that we will get delivered. Because if we don't even have a taste for him, where is the question of uplifting ourselves? We can't uplift ourselves, right? So we are all following, right? So the point is, the milk that they are talking about is, yesterday we learned, right? What is the milk? Milk is the essence of the Vedas, right? The essence of the cow is the milk. Essence of the Vedas is, the Vedas in essence, the conclusion of the Vedas is Vedaischa sarver ahameva vedyaha. Krishna simply said this. So ahameva vedyaha means I alone am to be known. Great, simple sentence. He is to be known. What does it mean to know about him from all the Vedas? It means one should fully understand his nature, how great his nature is. No, in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada, apparently, I heard this many times from some of the ISKCON devotees. He used to say, many people say God is great, but very few people know how great God is. This is one of his famous statements, right? Many of us know God is great, God is great, God is great, we keep saying, but we just don't understand how great God is. Because if we really understand how great God is, we will not give up on God even for a single moment. We will not get attracted to anything else. So acharyas feel, looking at our situation, they become restless because they have something called vaathsalyam. What does vaathsalyam mean? Vaathsalyam is the quality of a cow. Vatsa means calf. So Vatsalyam is the, special love that a cow experiences towards a calf. Because of which the cow is eager to remove the cow, when the calf comes closer to it, the cow licks the calf, right? Apparently the calf just comes out of the cow, right? And it is filled with amniotic fluid all around, right? When babies are born, they generally remove that fluid, right? But in the case of cows and calves, the cow licks it off from the calf. And in that way, it expresses its love towards the calf, right? It removes all the doshas that are present on the calf. This is called vatsalya, right? So the acharya, he feels very much sorry because he is in the mood of Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi's mood is somehow to bring the jivas back to Paramatma. Just like a mother's mood is to somehow, if there is a conflict between the father and the child, the mother somehow or the other, her mood is to settle that conflict and make sure that the father and the child are united together and they are happy with each other. This is the mood of a mother. So Mahalakshmi's mood is like that, right? But acharyas reflect the mood of Mahalakshmi, that they also feel very sorry that a jiva is like this, suffering in samsara, not even knowing who he is, not even knowing who he belongs to, not even knowing what is the nature of that supreme tattva. They all know there is some Narayana, something we have to do called Sharanagati, something we have to do some Kalakshepams. This is about how much we know. But if we really understand the glories of Lord, right, that are brought out in Ramayana, that are brought out in the Vishnu Purana and the Bhagavata Purana, then these qualities are so wonderful that all the acharyas, they are called alvars because they have completely submerged themselves in this ocean of qualities of the Lord. That's why they're called alvars, right? They are unable to come out of it. That is how much they are completely inundated with the flood of the qualities of the Lord. So to that extent, they are experiencing it. But we are so unfortunate that we are also tied, just like the calves are tied in a corner, right? And the calves are unable to come. We are also tied. There is something called karma, that is the rope that ties us to a certain body, material body, because of which we are tied there. Now, looking at our situation, that karma is the thing that prevents us from coming out of that state, right? Because of which, it is the karma of a certain being makes him come closer and closer to God. Karma of another being is such that that being does not have any taste towards God, right? So looking at this situation, acharya feels very, very compassionate. Acharya feels so sorry and he feels so restless. Somehow or the other, he wants to deliver those qualities of the Lord that he is experiencing to that jiva. As a result, what do these acharyas do? They start showering discourses. They start showering that discourses in this world. So that is the situation that is being described here. Now, when they start showering these discourses, now a similar situation is described apparently in Hanuma. Upon seeing Sita Devi, what did Hanuma do? It is described in Ramayana, Mamapi Vyatitam Manaha, that Hanuma felt so bad seeing the plight of Sita Devi, right? Hanuman represents Acharya Tattva in Ramayana, right? We all know. Sita Devi represents Jiva Tattva. So when Hanuman comes there, he feels sorry looking at Sita Devi, and what does he do? He starts reciting the story of Rama, right? Once upon a time, Rama was there. Rama is so great, and that is what gives life to Sita Devi again. So this is what Acharyas start doing, right? It's not that Among acharyas, there are different kinds of acharyas, right? Some acharyas, only when you come to them, only when you do a lot of kainkaryam to them, they test you for so many years and years and years, and then they finally give you knowledge. This is one extreme. Acharyas on one extreme. Acharyas on the other extreme are so compassionate that they themselves run after disciples. They themselves want to give this message. They themselves want to see the disciples uplifted. These are acharyas are so compassionate. They are called kripa matra prasannacharyas, right? Like Bhagavad Ramanuja. He was like that. He himself had to go to Goshti Purna, and he himself had to go 18 times to understand the meaning of one mantra, to get one mantra from him. He had to go 18 times to Sri Shaila Purna in order to understand the meaning of Ramayana. This is how much effort he had to put. But he felt, if I expect the same thing from everybody in Kali Yuga, then these messages will not go anywhere. So he was so compassionate that he gave without, the only qualification he saw was, if you want to experience Lord, come, I will give you. This is how much compassionate he was. He just gave it, right? He didn't see the consequence of doing that on his part, but he was so compassionate that he wants to give it. So this is the Acharya Tattva that is being described here, that they want to give this knowledge. It is not that Sita Devi didn't come and ask Hanuma, you please start telling me, provide a solution to me, and so on. The nature of jivas, it's very interesting. If we observe Ramayana, right? Sita Devi, her faith was completely beaten by Ravana, because Ravana came in so many different forms to Sita Devi's place, right? And each time he tried to trick her, each time he tried to cheat her. So completely her faith got destroyed. That any scope of anybody coming and protecting her, she lost that hope completely. This is how jivas are here. Many people are so atheistic that if you talk about God, they say, hey, don't talk about all these things. I'm suffering. Where is God protecting me? Which God are you talking about? There's no such thing as God. In this way, people lose faith because of being in samsara. People have faced so many difficulties in life, and people have faced so many challenges in life, that some people completely lose faith in something called as a supreme tattva, right? So there is no question of they coming and asking or inquiring about supreme tattva and so on. Some others, they may be in a phase where they are still doubtful, they are still hopeful, and so on. So Sita Devi represents that extreme nature of jiva, where the jiva has lost complete hope of any deliverance whatsoever. But in such circumstances, Hanuman represents an exceptional acharya who is capable of giving that faith again back to Sita Devi, who lost hope altogether. Right? So this is that acharya tattvam that is being described here. Right? Now here we are being told that they are completely flooding. That means they are sending that messages completely all the time. Acharyas are so eager. Their eagerness to give is what is being described here. Right? The wetting of the floor. Now another thing that is being told is the floors are becoming wet. What is this wetting of the floor? The wetting of the floor is exactly what we are talking about. Our hearts become so hard, right? That we don't have any faith in God. We don't have any faith in, it gets taken over by so many things. That hard heart has to become soft again. When does that hard heart become soft? When the right messages are sent to the heart with the right intensity at the right speed, right? It's a very careful administering, right? It cannot be done at a faster pace. It cannot be done at a slower pace. It cannot be done in whichever way you want. It doesn't work. An acharya has that expertise. Seeing a particular jiva, he knows whether this jiva, you have to go fast with that jiva, you have to go slow with that jiva, or you have to be patient with that jiva. You have to mix enjoyments while giving God to that jiva. All these things acharyas know very, they have that ability to understand that particular jiva's challenge, so that gradually they are capable of softening the heart of the jiva, right? The heart becomes hard because of being in contact with samsara. Hardening of the heart means lacking complete faith in anything that is theistic, anything in Vedas, acharyas, this culture of devotion to God. All these things, most people don't have any faith, right? They just lead normal lives, whatever that normal is, quote unquote normal is, right? So, but acharyas deliver this again. So they are capable of wetting and making the heart soft again. So that is the softening of the floor that is being described here. Okay. So now they are saying, Natselvan Tangai, you are the sister of this most wealthy person. Now, what is that particular Gopa? let us understand his quality. What is his quality? This particular person was such that he gave up his duties. He didn't even do his duties, right? Why did he give up his duties? We are told in the Vyakhyanam that he was apparently someone like Sudama who was very close to Krishna. Because of being very close to Krishna, constantly he was attending to Krishna. As a result of which, he had to ignore his own duties. Okay, this is the state of this particular Bhagavata. Okay, now let us talk about two kinds of dharmas that we all have. We have samanya dharmas and we have vishesha dharmas. Samanya dharmas means that dharmas in relation to the body that we got are called samanya dharmas. Okay, now we are born as a male or a female. We are born in a certain caste as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Sudra. We are an adult or a child. We have duties as a husband or father or child or wife or mother or anything. So these are all duties associated with body. These are called samanya dharmas. Vishesha dharma means the body is not what we are the soul. So when there is a need for doing a duty related to the soul, that has to be given precedence over duty related to the body. That is called vishesha dharma. Okay, duties in relation, dharma in relation to the soul is called vishesha dharma. Dharma in relation to the body is called samanya dharma. Dharma of the soul is soul's only duty is to constantly serve Paramatma. This is the only duty of the soul, right? Just like if you take any particular, a certain wing of a fan, the duty of that wing is to rotate when the fan rotates. That's its duty. It cannot resist and say, I will not rotate, let the other three rotate, and so on, right? Its duty is to rotate when the fan decides to rotate. That is its duty, right? The duty of this hand or finger is when I want to lift it, it should get lifted. That is its duty. Similarly, all the souls belong to Paramatma. So their duty is to completely be subservient to him. That is their duty. So this is Vishesha Dharma. Another example I will give. When conducting our, when we are, let's say, going in traffic, right? And there is red light. Samanya Dharma is whenever there is a red light, you have to stop, right? You cannot go whenever there is a red light. But there is an exception that you make and you go even when there is a red light. Don't tell that is when I'm getting late to the office. Okay, that is not the reason. Okay, when do we make that exception? And there is some sort of construction going on and there is some construction crew and there is a traffic police and he's directing everybody. Even if there is a red light, he's saying, come, come, come. Then will you say, I will not come, there is a red light? No. You will just obey the traffic police there. This is called Vishesha Dharma. Let us look at some examples from scripture of Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma. Look at the case of Dasaratha. Did he give importance to Samanya Dharma or Vishesha Dharma? Vishesha Dharma is to be with Ramachandra. He is the Supreme Lord, right? But he chose to give importance to Samanya Dharma, which is my word is more important to me. I gave a word to Kaikeyi, that is more important to me. Therefore, to protect my word, Rama has to be sent to the forest. This was his final decision. He didn't say, no, that word and so on, that is not applicable here. Who are you to ask like this? In this way, he didn't even argue with Kaikeyi because he was always afraid of his reputation, his, losing his word and so on. So he gave importance to Samanya Dharma, right? This is how Dasaratha was. Look at the case of Yudhishthira, right? When Krishna himself was there and he asked Yudhishthira to lie, Yudhishthira couldn't lie. He said, the only way to Dronacharya, he at one point in the war, he was using very, very fierce weapons towards ordinary troops. Generally, the dharma of the war is that whatever weapons, it should be between equals in every way, and the weapons that should be used should also be of equal potency. When someone is, having a small play gun, you cannot throw an atom bomb on that person. Okay, that is not the right way of fighting. But that's what Dronacharya was doing at one point. Krishna decided to take the situation under control. He said the only way to stop this Dronacharya is he should hear a news. He himself said this. Dronacharya, when Yudhishthira in the beginning of the war, he went to take blessings from Bhishma, he went to take blessings from Dronacharya, and so on, right, in the beginning. And Dronacharya let out a secret. He said the only way to stop me is if I hear a bad news or if I hear something that is a very difficult thing, then I will stop. So they all conceived of a plan. They thought of saying that Ashwadhama is dead, so that suddenly he will stop, right? Because if you utter that word, immediately he will stop for a moment, because it's his own son, right? Immediately he will pause. So they wanted to stop him like that. So of all the people, who should be chosen for it? Yudhishthira, because he would never utter a lie. So if it comes from his mouth, if it comes from the mouth of Bhima, it has no value, because Bhima can do whatever he wants. But if it comes from the mouth of Yudhishthira, then Dronacharya will definitely pause. So therefore, Krishna asked him to lie, saying, "You please tell that Ashwadhama is dead." Yudhishthira was very reluctant. He said, "No, no, I cannot lie. This is Satya. How can one speak untruth?" and all these things. He started lecturing to Krishna. So then Krishna said, "Okay, you're not going to listen. Then, okay, dynamically, we'll name a certain elephant as Ashwadhama and we'll kill that elephant. Then you say Ashwadhama Hataha." Then too he was reluctant. He said, "No, I will not say." Then, okay, you say Ashwadhama Hatam Hataha or Ashwadhama Hataha Kunjaraha. And when he was about to say Ashwadhama Hataha Kunjaraha, Krishna immediately blew his horn, so that the word Kunjara will not be heard. Right? So he had to cheat Yudhishthira. Krishna had to cheat Yudhishthira so that Dronacharya could be controlled. Now, someone could think that, he was giving so much importance to speaking. He didn't see that it is Paramatma himself who is right next to me, who is just giving me an instruction. All I have to do is just follow whatever he says. He was also giving importance to Samanya Dharma. But look at few other examples. Lakshmana, what did he do? He gave up his Samanya Dharmams. What were the Samanya Dharmams? Samanya Dharmams were, he was in a situation where he was married to Urmila. So he had a certain dharma as a husband towards Urmila. He gave up that. He has a certain dharma as a son of a father, right? When Rama was going, Bharata was not there. Shatrughna was also not there. Lakshmana had a duty towards his father to make sure that the father doesn't go into sorrow. He is settled properly and so on. He gave up that too. He didn't care. And he didn't even care about making sure that the kingdom is taken care. He was the only son there at that time in Ayodhya, right? If Rama will go away, Bharata is not there, Shatrughna is not there, who should be in charge of everything? And Dasharatha becomes ill at that time. But Lakshmana didn't care about that. He didn't care about any of it. He gave up his kingdom too. He has no attachment towards his kingdom. That's when Valmiki says, Lakshmi Van, Lakshmana, Lakshmi Van, Lakshmi Sampannaha, he says. When he gave up all his duties, material duties, why did he use the word Lakshmi Van? Because he knew what to prioritize. He understood, and Sumitra supported it. Sumitra said, Srushtaste Vanavasaya, that you are created for service to Ramachandra. You are created for, serving your brother. You are created for going into the forest. So you please go. Yes, that is the right thing. She also supported. So Sumitra knew what Lakshmana doing was correct, right? And Lakshmana chose the right thing. He knew that the service of the soul is to serve Paramatma. So he gave up everything and he went to the forest. This is Vishesha Dharma. Think about another Vishesha Dharma, right? Think about the case of Vasudeva, right? When Vasudeva, Krishna ordered him, saying, "You please transfer me overnight." And he did. He didn't say, no, that is cheating Kamsa. I cannot cheat Kamsa. I gave a word that I have to give my 8th son to him. So I have to give you to him. In this way, he didn't do. Vasudeva understood he is the Supreme Lord, because he just saw that he appeared along with Shankachakra Gada and everything. He saw that he is Narayana. He said, no, whatever this Narayana knows how to protect me. He knows how to protect Devaki also. If he is asking me to do, I will do. This was Vasudeva's move, following Vishesha Dharma. So sometimes apparently the so-called Samanya Dharmams, like speaking the truth, or even sometimes situations may arise in our life where a sudden service to an Acharya or Perumal comes up, because of which we may have to ignore a certain Samanya Dharma. Okay, we may not be able to do our Samanya Dharma. Let's say suddenly some Bhagavata is hospitalized. Let's say, practical situation. I'm giving one example. Bhagavata is hospitalized and we got the news. There is an attack, some kind of attack. We can't say, I've just took bath, I have to finish my Tiruvaradhana, I have to finish my Sandhya Vandanam, then I will attend to him. Right? What should we do? We have to prioritize Vishesha Dharma. Here is a Bhagavata, they are in this situation. So here we just have to apologize to Perumal and our Acharya, saying I need to immediately go. And we have to go take care of them, make sure that everything is arranged there, call 911, do whatever is needed, and then we may have to come back to doing our dharmas. So we should have this distinction in our mind very clearly when to prioritize samanya dharmams. The norm is that we have to prioritize samanya dharmams. But when there is a service that occurs directly in relation to Perumal or in relation to Acharya, that is inevitable. It's not like that is a service that could be adjusted. Again, it's very tricky. Our mind starts playing tricks to us. Sometimes, this is Kainkaryam to Acharya, I have to make a PowerPoint presentation. That's not, therefore I'll give up something else. My Nitya Karma, whatever is there, I'll give up. I'll start making presentations, right? No, that is not, you could make presentation at 1 hour later also, right? You don't have to give up your Nitya Karma to do that. In this way, we should not exploit this rule, but the Shastra is giving us this permission that if someone is absorbed in Paramatma's Kainkaryam and Acharya Kainkaryam to that extent, and if there is a conflict between Samanya Dharmam and Vishesha Dharmam, they can prioritize Vishesha Dharma over Samanya Dharmam. Now, what happens? Now, will they be held accountable for the sins of ignoring their dharmas? No. Shastra says no. There are 3 crore rishis that are taking care of doing all karmas for the sake of such people. Okay, there is an interesting slokam there. We are told, mat karma kurvatam pumsam karma lopo bhavet yadi tat karma kurvate nityam tishra kotayo maharshayaha. Tishra kotyo maharshayaha. There are 3 crore maharshis who are constantly performing all karmas. 24/7, their job is to do that. Why are they doing it? Because at the end of the day, all karmas have to be performed in the universe, right? These people are balancing for the sake of those exceptional Bhagavatas who are giving up their karmas, right? Because they are constantly engaged in service to Perumal or Acharya in some way. So this is the point that we are talking about such a Bhagavata here today. That he was constantly with Krishna, just like Lakshmana was with Ramachandra. And he ignored so many of his material duties as a result of that. But at the end of the day, he was glorified by his own mother, who knew Tattva properly, right? Sumitra is an exceptional jnani. If you look at her words in Ramayana, everywhere she speaks as if she understands Sita Devi to be Mahalakshmi and Rama to be Narayana himself, right? And similarly, he is glorified even by Valmiki Maharshi. Lakshmana is glorified by Valmiki Maharshi too. So, and same is the case with Bhishana also. He gave up his kingdom, he gave up everything, he gave up his dharmas, he left everything there and he came here. And he is glorified as Sriman, So this way, this is the point that is being talked about here. So this is the kind of Bhagavata. Therefore, he is called as Nal Selvan. He is extremely wealthy. Although he gave up his own dharmas, he is extremely wealthy because he is constantly attending to Paramatma. That is the supreme wealth. The wealth is not the material wealth that we gain in this world, because this wealth is very temporary. Today it may be there. 10 years later, we don't know. It may not be there. So in this way, we cannot run after this wealth thinking that this is everything, this is permanent. The nature of material existence is that one day someone will be an Indra, in the next birth he will be an ant. This is the nature of material existence. So there is no guarantee that a material state will continue to exist. But the only thing is the spiritual state can continue to exist. And that is a choice we have to make, right? We have to choose Paramatma in our actions, in our thought, in our speech at every time. So that is the kind of Gopa this particular Gopa was. Now, a certain analogy to stage 1 Sthita Pragnata is being talked about here, right? What is that analogy? In stage 1 of Sthita Pragnata, remember in the previous 4 pasurams, we were saying that there is an analogy to different levels of Sthita Pragnata, right? Now here, what is level 1 Sthita Pragnata? It is the example of the tortoise, right? When there is a danger that comes, it will immediately retract its limbs. And once the danger goes away, it pulls out its limbs. This particular Bhagavata is such that when there is, something in relation to Paramatma and his Kainkaryam, all of his limbs come out. If he doesn't see any direct connection to Paramatma, his limbs are retracted. So that is the analogy that they are talking about here. By saying you are his sister, they said Nal Salvan Tangai, you are his sister. They are saying, generally, when do we say like that? When someone is very bad, we say, this girl is that person's sister. That means immediately we see this girl in that bad light. Or when someone is very great, we say, she is that girl, that boy's sister. That means we are ascribing the glory or the badness of that particular person on this girl, right? By indicating that connection. So here they are also indicating that connection and saying that the same kind of habit may exist with you also. You may also ignore your duties and you're constantly absorbed in Paramatma. That is what they are indicating here. Now, Panittalai Veedanin Vasal Kadaipatti. Now they are saying that there is a snow that is falling on the head, right? And we are at the entrance beam of this house. It's a very deep statement. Now we have to understand here. Three things are happening to the Gopikas. Okay? What are the three things? There is snow falling from the top. The floor is wet on the bottom. And they are with other Gopikas. That means even for us, we may gain, these are three kinds of knowledge that we may be getting as we progress on our spiritual path, right? Andal, who does she represent? She represents someone who is trying to take shelter of an acharya, right? That's what she is representing. Now, the Gopika inside and her brother inside, they are all representing Acharya Tattvam, the buffaloes and all that. Now, Andal is representing a Jiva who is taking shelter of an Acharya, who is trying to make progress on the spiritual path. That's what Andal is indicating, right? From the Jiva's perspective, there are three exposures that the Jiva gets, right? Exposure from study of scriptures or statements by Purvacharyas, Alvars, Prabandhams, all these things. Direct exposure to scriptures. That is one way of gaining knowledge, right? The other way of gaining knowledge is by taking shelter of Acharyas, right? The milk, apparently all the milk that is down is that knowledge that is coming from Acharyas that we have understood, right? In the first few lines, okay? So the snow that is falling on the top is something that is directly coming to them. That is knowledge gained from scriptures, from the statements of Purvacharyas, Vyakhyanas, and all those things. Then there is also knowledge that is coming directly from Acharyas. Then there is also certain knowledge that you are gaining from your fellow Bhagavatas, right? In your practical experiences with them or trying to share knowledge with each other, bodhayanta parasparam, right? In this way. So apparently, these three kinds of things are being talked about here. In that, what could happen? It is like an ocean. So you might get overwhelmed and you might get carried away in the waves of that ocean. Okay. So that is what could happen to all of us. We might get carried away in that waves of the ocean. Okay. As a result of that, what happens? One can completely get lost in Bhagavad Bhakti. And that could be overwhelming for a practitioner. So the other point one has to remember is, it is just like when there is a flood. If you think about this experience of God's qualities as an ocean, if you compare the experience of God qualities to an ocean, three things also fall in an ocean. What are they? There is rain that falls. Water comes in three ways to an ocean, right? Its own water exists. Water comes in the form of rain. Water comes in the form of rivers coming to it, flow of rivers. These are the three sources of water into an ocean. When we go to an ocean, we may get carried away by the waves of the ocean. To protect ourselves, we need to hold on to something. What are these girls saying? Andal is saying that they are holding on to the entrance beam of the house. Okay, entrance beam of the house means your two doors are on the two sides and there is the beam on the top. So that is the beam to which they are holding on to. What is the thing that they are holding on to? When we experience this Bhagavad Kalyana Gunas through all of these three sources, there is a certain joy that we experience. There is a certain ecstasy that we may experience. We should not, as practitioners, think that this joy is for my pleasure. I am getting very happy. The process of bhakti is so enjoyable to me. I am very, very happy. I am experiencing the happiness. This conception should not be there in us. We should say that it is my experience of these scriptures and qualities of the Lord is for the pleasure of the Lord. It's not for the pleasure of me, right? How do we understand this? Using the Namah Padam in the Ashtakshari mantra. If you see the entrance here, they are comparing the entrance to, two doors are Omkara and Narayanaya. The Namah Padam which is present in between is the beam of the entrance. They are saying they are holding on to that beam which is the Namah Padam. Namah Padam is saying everything is not meant for me, it is meant for Narayana's sake. So the happiness that they are experiencing is not for my sake, it is for Narayana's sake. In other words, to put it very simply, if this is too complex to follow, to put it very simply, we may experience a certain happiness in the path of devotion. But that happiness we should not see as independent joy that we are experiencing. We should always feel that this happiness is for the sake of Narayana. It is, why should I do all these things? Why should I study scriptures? Why should I hear from acharyas? Why should I associate with Bhagavatas? Because it gives pleasure to Narayana. This is the understanding with which we should live. Not because, oh, Bhagavatas are obviously very nice people, so life with them will be happy. Scriptures and the messages are always pleasing to sattvic people, right? So you definitely will experience a joy coming out of reading scriptures or hearing from acharyas. So we should not think, oh, my life is very happy, nice and dandy, and I'm very happy. We should not forget that this happiness is meant for Paramatma. That we are meant for Paramatma, then the happiness we experience should also be for Paramatma's sake, right? So that is the thing we should not forget in this process. So here Andal is focusing upon what is important to a practitioner. In the first three lines or so, she talked about Acharya Tattvam. She talked about a certain kind of Bhagavata whom one should take shelter of. And she's also trying to teach a principle, a practical principle to all of us, that if situations arise where we have to prioritize or choose between Samanya Dharmam and Vishesha Dharmam, we can give priority to Vishesha Dharmam, and if we have to ignore our Samanya Dharmam, then there is no fault associated with it. Is a lesson that she is teaching us, right? Asterisk terms and conditions apply. Now, Chinathinal Tennilangai Komanai Chetta, Manatukku Iniyanai Padavum Nivai Thiravai. Here she is starting to glorify Ramachandra and his qualities, right? There is a certain point about Ramachandra that she's talking about. What is it? Chinathinal, out of anger that Ravana tortured Sita Devi, who was someone who has taken shelter of him. Tennilangai means the Lanka, which is to the south. Komanai means king, Ravana. Cheta, he killed, right? What is the significance of, Rama's quality here? One quality that is being talked about is, even when you try to hurt the Lord himself, he will not react to it, right? This is a point we discussed in a day or two ago also, right? But the Lord reacts to a thing that happens to someone who has taken shelter of him. Then he gets angry, right? If we see repeatedly in Ramayana, this theme comes up, right? Sugriva has taken shelter of Rama, and Vali was trying to hurt Sugriva. So Rama considered Vali his enemy. Personally, he had no enmity towards Vali, but he was an enemy to Sugriva. He was behaving improperly towards Sugriva. So he considered Vali as an enemy and he killed Vali. After Vali was killed, Sugriva cried, Acho, my brother, he cried, this is what happened to him and so on. Immediately Rama also cried. Rama also felt bad. Okay, so he had no personal enmity towards Vali. His only enmity was towards, Vali had towards Sugriva, because of which he had enmity towards Vali. Similarly, even here, if we see, Rama had no personal enmity towards Ravana. But the pain that he was feeling was Sita Devi's pain, that she was experiencing so much pain, because of which he got angry. Rama got angry. Another instance, when he was waging a war with Ravana, he didn't have a chariot and all. So he was literally sitting on the shoulders of Hanuman, right? Rama and Lakshmana were sitting on the shoulders of Hanuman. And Ravana had his own chariot, right? They both were fighting against each other. So Ravana was releasing arrows and the arrows were hitting Rama. When they hit Rama, he didn't react. But when the arrows were hitting Hanuman, he got very angry, intensely angry, right? It is described that Tato Ramo Mahatejaha. He was appearing as if, there was some kind of volcanic eruption, right? Mahatejaha means one can imagine how much, fierceness was being seen in him. Just Tato Ramo means right after. Previously when Ravana was hitting arrows to him, absolutely calm, no reaction. He was just fighting back, that's all. But when they started hitting Hanuman, who was doing all of this for the sake of Rama. Previously, Hanuman had no injuries whatsoever. He had no history of injuries. The only injury he had was when he tried to aim for sun and he burnt his mouth. That was the only known injury about Hanuman. Otherwise, he never got injured. He was always victorious. That kind of Hanuman, today he was bleeding. So much blood was oozing out of his body. When Rama saw this, he became wild, so fierce. So in Ramayana, we are described these contradictory qualities of Rama. That it is described that he is jitakrodhaha, right? That means he has conquered anger. But then we are also told that kasya bibhyati devascha jataroshasa senyuge, right? Kalagni sadrusha krodhe. If he gets anger, that is equivalent to kalagni. That means fire at the time of total dissolution, fire at the time of pralaya. That is how Rama's anger is. And we are also told that if he gets angry, kascha bibhyati devascha jataroshasa sayuge. In whom, if anger arises, even devatas are afraid if Rama gets angry. So this is the nature of Rama that is being described by Valmiki. Very interesting, right? Has he conquered anger? He says yes, jita krodha. And then he says, if Rama gets angry, then it's very fierce. That means, has he conquered anger or no? He is someone who has conquered anger. Therefore, Valmiki carefully says, Krodham aharayamasa. That means, Krodham, all these things that are given to us should be like weapons. We should not come under the control of them. We should use them when they are necessary for the right purpose. Should parents get angry with children? Yes. If you have to discipline them, you have to show anger. You don't have to get anger. You have to show anger so that they can be disciplined. Right? If you don't show that anger, then spare the rod, spoil the child. So goes the proverb. Right? So we have to, anger at appropriate times is necessary to set people on the right path. For the right purpose, anger has a utility. And Rama had knowledge of the right purpose. Therefore, he is jitakrodhaha. Jitakrodhaha does not mean he never gets angry. That is not the meaning of jitakrodhaha. Jitakrodhaha means that he is someone who knows when to use anger and to what extent to use anger and when to bring it back under control. This is what jitakrodhaha means, right? So anger is also necessary for people, right? It's not a thing that should not exist. Generally, when people think of saints, they think that saints means how can you get angry? No, that's not true. Saints also get anger for the right purpose within the limits. As soon as the purpose is over, their anger should go away. That is why it is described that even for great saints, anger never lasts more than a moment. For a fraction of moments, that anger will remain. After that, that anger goes away from them. It never remains with them. They don't hold on to anything in their heart. That is the nature of a saint. So here that is being described. Now let us understand who is this Ravana, right? We have to understand a little bit of Tattva Jnana also, right? Very important. We all know this, some of these things, right? When Hanuman, he comes and sees Ravana's glories for the first time, right? Hanuman says that Aho Viryam, Aho Dhairyam, Yadi Adharmo na Balavan, he says, right? His Viryam and his prowess is immeasurable. Ravana is so great, Hanuman feels. But there is only one problem with him. If at all he is not adharmic, then he is a very great person, he says. Right? Who is this Ravana? And what is that Lanka? And what is that southern direction? Ravana is nothing but the mind. Right? What is that southern direction? What is the Lanka? Lanka is nothing but this body. And Sita Devi is the jiva that is captured in this body. And Ravana is that mind. Right? What is the southern direction? Why that southern direction was specified? Because south indicates the direction of death, right? And the nature of this Lanka or body is that this body is subject to death one day. So that is what they are indicating. Now, the nature of mind is very interesting. Ravana is mind, but this mind is not a bad thing. That is what Hanuman feels, that this person has great prowess, great qualities. The only thing is he has adharma in him. If the adharma is not there, this person is a very great person, Hanuman was feeling. Similarly, this mind also has just two problems, ahankara and mamakara. If these things are not there, Krishna says, Atmaiva hi atmana bandhuhu, Atmaiva ripuratmanaha. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he says this, that the mind is itself the friend of the jiva. The mind is itself the enemy of the jiva. Krishna says. When does the mind become the friend? When it is uddhared atmanatmanam, he says. When the mind is elevating you, when the mind is uplifting you, it is moving you towards spiritual things, then the mind is a friend. If the mind is degrading you day by day, if the mind is taking you away from spiritual things, if the mind is increasing your infatuation for material things, then the mind is acting as your enemy. So when that nature is conquered of the mind, when ahankara and mamakara are removed, right? Ahankara means thinking that you are the body. Mamakara means thinking that all the material objects are things for me to enjoy. This is called mamakara. Okay. So what is the way to conquer this Ravana? The way to conquer this Ravana is Very interesting. If you observe Ramayana, all the people related to Ravana were first defeated, one by one. Ravana sent all his children, friends, soldiers, ministers, all these people got defeated. Finally, Ravana was defeated. So the way to defeat mind is to first remove mamakara. How to remove mamakara? To remove mamakara, what we have to do is first, all the objects that towards which we have material attraction, they should be removed from our life. That is the first principle of defeating mamakara, right? Then ahankara can be easily removed, right? Finally, Ravana was defeated. First, all the objects related to Ravana were defeated. Then Ravana was defeated. So first, mamakara has to be removed. Then ahankara can be removed. Then the mind becomes vishuddha manasa grahyaha. Upanishads say that with a pure mind, the same Upanishads say that with mind one cannot understand Paramatma, but the same Upanishads say Vishuddha Manasa Grahyaha. If the mind becomes pure, with that mind you can capture Paramatma. Right? Who can do it? Only Rama can do it. Only Ramanama Smarana can do it. That these Gopikas knew. Therefore, they were remembering Rama. Right? And that is how the Jivatma, who is Sita Devi, can be saved. Right? That is the whole essence of Ramayana. Ramayana is a very deep scripture conveying a very simple meaning. Right? If you just understand Ravana Tattva, if you just understand Sita Tattva, if you just understand Rama Tattva and Hanuman Tattva, then it is capable. If you just meditate on these four tattvas every day, just understanding how great Acharya Tattvam is, how great, how the jiva gets captured in this body called Lanka, and how the mind called Ravana keeps controlling this jiva, and how ahankara and mamakara are the problems for this mind. If they are defeated, if that mamakara is removed and ahankara is removed, the mind becomes pure, and that pure mind is capable of elevating us and delivering us. That is the essence of Ramayana. So now, the anger of Rama that they are indicating is defeating this Ravana, right? The Supreme Lord, he feels so bad that this mind is capturing the jiva and putting us in the body. So Rama gets angry towards the mind. He is the one who has to defeat that ahankara and mamakara. When they are removed, he removes them first, by which the jiva can get released from this Lanka called body. And the jiva can again unite back with Paramatma, who is Ramachandra himself. Right? Therefore, when we meditate on this nature of Ramayana, manathukku iniyanai, this is very pleasing to the heart. It is very much hope-giving to the heart. Right? Therefore, we want to paadavam, we want to sing about Rama all the time, because his nature is that he will definitely, give protection to Sakradeva Prapannaya Tavasmiti Chiyachate Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadami Etad Vratam Mama Mitra Bhavena Sampraptam Natyajena Kathanchana Dosho Yadyapi Tasya Syat Satam Etad Agarhitam. He says that I will never give up on anybody who has once even approached me, even if they don't have full feelings, somehow imitation feelings they have, and they come to me, even in that mode, I will still give them shelter. This is the nature of Ramachandra. How can such a person not be glorified? Therefore, we want to sing about such a person. How come even after hearing about this, you are not opening your mouth? In this way, they are asking this particular Gopika. Inithan Elindirai, at least now, please get up. Please come out. We know. Again, why are they saying all these things? Not because they want to blame the Gopika inside. They know that this Gopika's nature is like that. They know that this Gopika has much more realizations that she wants to share. Only when you start speaking about that, slowly this girl will come out of that, drowsiness that she's experiencing. Therefore, they want to start speaking about these things so that they can move her from that situation. Please come up. What is the purpose of this great sleep you have? This sleep is a very interesting sleep that you are going through. It is not like the tamasic sleep of jivas in samsara. It is not even like the yoga nidra of Paramatma meant to deliver all of us. This is a different kind of sleep. Therefore, it's a distinct sleep. What is this sleep? The sleep is you are selfishly experiencing Paramatma on your own. You are someone who is just absorbed in serving Paramatma all the time, and you are not caring about guiding all of us on how we can serve Paramatma. So this is not right. Please come out and guide us. Anaityam, Anaitta ittarum arindero rembavai. So now they are saying that in this Ayr party, in this Brindavana, everybody knows about you. We all know that you are a very realized soul. You are a very great soul. Please come out and please guide us. In this way, they are saying. Once again, quickly I'll try to summarize a few points from this. The points in the, so instead of trying to summarize the meaning of the Pasuram now, we'll try to understand at least a few important takeaways from this Pasuram. What are the takeaways from this Pasuram? The first takeaway is the nature of an Acharya Tattva. How an Acharya embodies the nature of Mahalakshmi and tries to serve as a mediator between Jiva and Paramatma. This is one takeaway for all of us, right? So, Acharyas always they try to uh, look at the sufferings of the Jiva. They try to see how the Jiva is captured in a certain body out of their own. They are tied in that body because of karma, and they are unable to uplift themselves. They are unable to maintain themselves. They are unable to deliver themselves. So, Acharyas, out of compassion, they milk out the Lord's nature, Swarupa, Rupa, Guna, Vibhava, all these qualities of the Lord, they shower out of restlessness, seeing such jivas because they are Kripa Matra Prasannacharyas. They just give out these things and they want these jivas to get delivered. And they keep eagerly waiting for the man to release those calves. That means they keep eagerly waiting for Paramatma's grace to fall on that jiva. So it is the Acharya who is serving as that mediator, and he is the one who is constantly praying to Paramatma for his grace to fall on the Shishyas who have taken shelter of him. So this is the Acharya Tattva that we all have to meditate upon. Then the second point they are saying is the flooding of the floor. This is the point that they are talking about. This indicates that Acharya's speech is the thing that is capable of softening our hard hearts and removing all the bad things that are present and reinstating that faith in the Lord and faith in the Lord's protection and giving us taste of the Lord's qualities and all of that. It is the thing that is capable of softening this hard heart. This is the other point that we are being told. The third thing that we are being described is by talking about a certain wealthy person who is the brother of this particular girl, they are trying to tell us the quality of, having the discrimination of when to prioritize vishesha dharmas over samanya dharmas, right? We all understood that the dharmas related to the body are samanya dharmas, but dharmas of the soul, which is all constantly serving the Paramatma, is the vishesha dharma. We should make that discrimination at an appropriate time. If there is a vishesha dharma that has to be given importance, we can ignore safely samanya dharmas. We can take care of them later, but we have to prioritize the vishesha dharma. That is the point that we are being told here. Then, now they are talking about their own situation. Their own situation is that from three different sources, that is, in the form of the Vyakhyanas of Purvacharyas, in the form of scriptures reading, they are experiencing certain happiness. In the form of instructions from Acharyas, they are also experiencing happiness. In the form of association with Bhagavatas, they are also experiencing happiness. But all these kinds of happiness, they should not see that this happiness is for my sake. The happiness that I'm experiencing is for Paramatma's sake. That there also we should always feel that in devotion, whatever happiness we are experiencing is for the sake of Paramatma. It is not that we should not feel that I am very happy, I am joyful, right? I am joyful because Paramatma wants me to be happy this way. This connection with Paramatma we should not forget. That is what is being indicated by their holding of that particular entrance beam, right? Then we are being talked about the nature of Rama's anger towards the mind, which is represented by Ravana in the Ramayana, and the deliverance of Sita Devi, which is the Jiva, right? And just thinking about this gives them so much happiness that Rama is someone who always gives shelter to someone who has taken shelter of him. After thinking about such nature of Rama, who is capable of releasing us from samsara altogether, right? How can we not sing out of joy? So we want to sing out of joy. Even after singing, how are you not moving even slightly? We know that you also have this nature. So please come out of your meditation. Please come out of your kainkaryams to Perumal alone. Please engage us also in those kainkaryams. Please share your own realizations of that kainkaryam. You please come out and share with us, right? In this way, they are saying that all of us are already aware of your nature. So please come and guide us is how they are praying to this particular Gopika today. With this, we will try to conclude. Andal Tiruvadagale Sharanam, Emberumana Tiruvadagale Sharanam, Periyajiyar Tiruvadagale Sharanam, Jai Sri Narayan. See if anybody has any questions, thoughts, anything that they want to share.
Very nice session, Swami. Very nice session, Jai Narayana.
Yes.
Swami, and the takeaways in this session are very good, Swami. But the one thing that I noted down was to remove this ahankara mamakara, right?
Mhm.
We can take that as also one of the takeaway in this. I'm adding that as my takeaway too. Uh, But in the session you were talking about meditating on the four qualities, right? Can you just tell me what those four qualities are again?
Where exactly? What meditation?
So you were talking about to remove mamakara and ahankara. You said we should meditate on the four main qualities with Ramayana, right? In regards with the connection with Ramayana.
So we have to meditate on the nature of the points that I was talking about was every day we have to meditate on the power of Rama, right?
Power of Rama. Okay.
Power of Rama. The power of Ramanama. Rama is the one who has released Sita from Lanka. Lanka
Mm-hmm.
represents the mind. Sita represents the Jiva. Rama represents the Paramatma. And Hanuman represents Acharya. So what I was trying to tell was these are the we have to meditate on these four tattvas every day, right? What Hanuman did to have to release Sita Devi, right? He was the one who gave hope to Sita Devi, who was completely hopeless. That is the nature of Acharya Tattvam. Every day we have to meditate on it. That this is how Acharya is increasing my faith in Paramatma every day, right? We who were completely hopeless before, who were completely someone who had no faith in scriptures and all these things, from that level, right? We are completely being brought closer and closer to God. This is someone Acharyas are doing. So that is Hanuman's service, right? And then thinking about the nature of mind or Ravana is that mind is good. It is not that it's a bad thing. We all think that mind is a very bad thing. But Krishna says that mind is both a friend and an enemy. It is a friend when it is elevating us. It is an enemy if it is degrading us. So Ravana also, when Hanuman was meditating on Ravana's qualities, he was saying that Ravana, he has very great qualities. The only problem with him is he has this adharmic behavior. Similarly, even the mind has this adharmic behavior, which is constantly, it is selfish, that it always wants to enjoy different objects. That is happening because of, just like Ravana was a selfish person. He always wanted to enjoy everything that he saw. He wanted to have it for himself. That is why wherever he went, whatever he found, Pushpaka Vimana, he stole from somewhere. All these wives of rishis, he stole them. Sita Devi also, he stole her. So whatever nice thing was there in the universe, he wanted to steal it. And this is the nature of mind. Whatever nice thing it finds, it wants it.
Once.
This is the nature of mind. So, but this nature of mind can be defeated. How was Ravana defeated? First of all, everything related to Ravana was defeated by Rama. All the people he was, some of them were defeated by Hanuman, some of them were defeated by Lakshmana, some of them were defeated by Rama himself, right? All the people related to Ravana. So similarly, some of this mamakara goes away by hearing from acharyas, right? That is Hanuman defeating some of these different people related to Ravana, right? So mamakara has to be removed first, and then ahankara will also be removed by Rama, and finally mind will be defeated. When that mind is defeated, the same mind is capable of releasing the jiva from Lanka or the body. It is capable of uplifting us. So these are the four tattvas: Rama tattva, Sita tattva, and Hanumat tattva and Ravana tattva. These, if we keep meditating on these four things, the Ramayana holds such a good message for us for our deliverance. That is what I was trying to.
Nice. Sita Tattva, what can
Jiva
I take
tattva.
in?
Jiva tattva. That how just desiring one mistake that Sita Devi made got her into Lanka, right? That she felt that Maricha, well, all the colors and shapes and sizes that the deer was showing, she got attracted to that, and she said, Rama, please get that for me. Instead of choosing Rama, who was right next to her, she chose Prakriti. So Maricha represents Prakriti. So we get captured by Prakriti, and then Ravana, finally, the mind comes and captures us, and we get caught up in a particular body. So Sita Devi goes through a lot of suffering in Lanka. That is what we all have to remember, that in this body we go through a lot of suffering under the influence of that mind, right? The 700 Rakshasa Strees that were constantly torturing Sita Devi represent all the Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madamacharyas and all their associates that constantly keep torturing us in this body and prevent us from getting delivered. Right? So this is what lesson that Sita Devi is trying to teach us is how we are someone who can be with Paramatma, but instead of Paramatma, we are choosing Prakriti and getting caught up in Lanka, which is the body, and getting tortured by the mind. Then what did Sita Devi do? After hearing from Hanuman, her hope was completely gone by that point, but after hearing from Hanuman, her faith again got reinstated. Then constantly the only thing she did was she was remembering Rama and nothing else. That is all she did. So that is all we need to do. Constantly remembering that Rama will deliver me. That is his power. His power is that somehow he is capable of conquering everything and coming to me and delivering me. So the duty to deliver is on him. All I have to do is constantly keep thinking about him. Sita Devi says that I have not thought about anything else except Rama. This is the promise that she makes, the statement that she makes before she enters fire. That if I ever thought about anything other than Rama, may this fire consume me. This is what she says, but she comes out victorious from the fire. That means she never thought about anything except Rama. So a jiva who's caught up in samsara also should be like Sita Devi, constantly thinking about Rama.
Yeah, we can think on this way, right? Jiva thinks of Prakriti, right? Instead of Rama, she thought of Prakriti and got deviated again by listening to Acharya here. Hanuman in this case got again into the right path. Like that, we should also, even though we are deviated from the normal path, listening to Acharya, we should always keep Paramatma in the center and attain moksha. Is that
Yes?
okay? Is that thank you, Swami. Thank you so much. Jai Samana.
Yes.
Jai Narayana Swami. I was also reminding of one thing they say, right? Like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, that the ocean is like the samsara sagaram, right? So Acharya is the one who crosses the samsara sagaram, deals with all those demons that comes on the way, successfully crosses it, and so and delivers us the message.
Right.
So we are struggling in the samsara sagaram, but he can successfully cross it and delivers us the Perumal too.
Right. Yes, that is also a beautiful realization of who Hanuman's tattvam is, Acharya tattvam is.
Yes, Swami. Yes, Swami. And one thing you might know well more than I remember that Parankusha Nayaki, when she is very she had a parrot.
Yes.
She grew a parrot. I mean, Parankusha Nayaki grew a parrot, and whenever she is in great trouble, it was trained to say Rama, Rama, Rama. When she was joyful, she trained the parrot to chant Krishna, Krishna. It seems. So Nammalvar is Parankusha Nayaki, right, Swami?
Yes.
So once by mistake, the parrot, when Parankusha Nayaki was deep in sorrow, she was feeling away from Perumal and she was very deep in the sorrow. The parrot started chanting Krishna, Krishna, it seems. And she started shouting, like, already my life is going. Instead of chanting Rama, who will bring back my life, you are chanting Krishna and making me even more sorrow.
Sorrow, yeah. Separation, yes. Thank you for adding this
insight.
Beautiful insight to today's.
For me, today was so many takeaways, like Srinivas Garu said, so many takeaways for me.
Right. Very deep Pasurams, very deep commentaries on these things. So it's very hard to do justice by condensing everything into 1 hour. If we expand, then it's a
so it is so. I mean, every day when we hear more and more, it is. It is not. There is. We don't have enough words to describe our gratitude to our acharyas who explained these intricate meanings in such beautiful way. Andal, Andal is Perumal's anugraham. She said. I mean, she has revealed all those things, but it's acharyas who has given us. I mean, all those meanings. I cannot even imagine how they could relate
Exactly.
these things to our tattvams and all, Swami. Again,
Right.
Bhagyam.
Yes. Yesterday I was just telling that to Vaishnavi that it's very just a, just the songs by themselves. If we can't even understand, it's just like one girl scolding another girl. And that's how when they say are you deaf? Are you dumb? Are you lazy? Please come out and all these things. That itself is like without these acharyas insights and all that, we can't even appreciate uh, the compassion of Andal. What
Yeah,
should
Swami. Yeah. And the words Andal is using, you cannot replace one word with another word.
exactly
Same meaning. I mean, Tamil has multiple meanings for the same word and the same many words with the same meaning. So it is both ways, goes both ways in Tamil. And
right,
you cannot replace one of those words with something of our choice or something better. You cannot think of a better word than
right,
what
right.
is used in Tirupati. That shows her mercy.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Adiyan Swami.
Again.
Andal Thiruvadi.
Again, we are
Jai Swami.
talking about Samanya Dharma and Vishesha Dharma కదా మనం అనుకున్నాం కదా.
Again.
సో లక్ష్మణస్వామి గురించి చాలా బాగా మీరు వివరించారు.
Again.
సో ఇప్పుడు మనము జటాయుది కూడా విశేష ధర్మం అని అనుకోవచ్చు కదా అడియన్, ఎందుకంటే ఆయన చూశారు సీతమ్మ వారిని తీసుకెళ్ళటం చూసి తన శక్తి కంటే ఎక్కువగా పోరాడారు సీతమ్మ వారిని కాపాడడానికి. చివరికి రాముల వారు వచ్చే వరకు కూడా కొన ప్రాణంతో ఉండి ఆ యొక్క సమాచారం అందించి ఆఫ్ కోర్స్ రాముల వారు మోక్షాన్ని ప్రాప్తించారు వారికి. సో మనం అనుకోవచ్చు కదా అడియన్
Jatayu also, because for a bird it's not ordinary to do these things. Just out of gratitude for Dasaratha, seeing that connection with Dasaratha and Dasaratha's family has come. He was a friend of Dasaratha. He went out of his way and he did all these things for Rama. So
మళ్ళీ మళ్ళీ మనం ఇవి అనుకుంటూ ఉండాలి అడియన్, ఎందుకంటే విశేష ధర్మాన్ని పాటించడం అనేది అది అనుకుంటేనే మనకి ఎంతగా మనసులో అనిపిస్తుంది కదా.
yes,
చెయ్యడం అప్లై చేయడం అనేది మన ఆచార్యవర్యులు యతులు ఎంతగా వాళ్ళ లైఫ్ అంతా సాక్రిఫైస్ చేసి ఈ మానవ ఉజ్జీవనం కొరకని మన ఆచార్యులు జియర్స్ ఎంతగా విశేష ధర్మం ప్రతిదినం అనుసరిస్తూ ఉన్నారు. అందుకే మన రామానుజుల వారు కూడా 120 సంవత్సరాలు చివరి దినం వరకు కూడా సంధ్యాది కర్మలన్నీ చేస్తూ మనకు ఒక ఉదాహరణగా ఎస్ అడియన్
yes,
ఫెల్ట్ వెరీ కనెక్టెడ్. థ్యాంక్ యూ అడియన్ దాసు.
thank you. Yes.
Jai Narayana Swami. So if when it comes to Vishesha Dharma versus
Samanya Dharma.
Samanya Dharma, so I heard somewhere, Swami, from some Upanyasaka, that Bhishma should have followed Vishesha Dharma. Instead, he followed Samanya Dharma and sided with Kauravas, right, Swami? Is that, and also he did the same thing during the Chira Draupadi Vastra what do you, I don't know, I'm lacking, I'm not getting my word. So is that correct, Swami? I mean, it should be, but how do we, I mean,
Yes, Bhishma himself explains this actually. Yes, what you have said is correct, Napinaji. So, Bhishma actually followed Samanya Dharma. He couldn't follow Vishesha Dharma. The Samanya Dharma is that when you take something from someone, you are obligated to work for them because there's an obligation. It means there is a certain dependency lock that you get into, right? When we keep taking from someone. So Bhishma was someone who was dependent on Duryodhana and others for his maintenance. Constantly, he was being supported by them. As a result, when the time came, then he had no choice but to support them. So one lesson that Bhishma teaches there is that's why we shouldn't overly take from anybody, because in such circumstance, we will be obligated to do a bad thing or an adharmic thing that we are not inclined to do, right? Therefore, even great people like Tenali Ramakrishnan and all Birbal and in the court, like Chanakya and all these people, they have always chosen, they have Potana, like several great people, they have always chosen to, even though they were ministers, they have always chosen to, not take anything that the king offered. And they always declined all those things so that they can remain independent and guide the king in an unbiased manner instead of getting biased by the king's, prejudices. This is one thing. And the reason Bhishma gives, Draupadi asks, she laughs when Bhishma was giving out different dharmas to Yudhishthira and all on the bed of arrows. Draupadi laughs at one instance, saying, you're speaking about so many dharmas today. What happened to you when you, on that day, where you were unable to utter anything? When I was being disrobed in front of everybody, what happened to your same dharmas? You could have talked about these then too. You didn't say a single word that day. Then Bhishma tells a very interesting story. He says that, here is where there is a certain dosham associated with food that we eat. This is called ashraya dosham. Ashraya dosham means the quality of the person whom the food is taken shelter of, that qualities come to us. If we keep eating that food, then those qualities will come into us. So Bhishma tells a story. We will not get into that story because it will drag this class a little more. But he says that because Bhishma was eating the food of Duryodhana, all the bad qualities of Duryodhana took shelter of that food. So those qualities were entering him, because of which his own mind was constantly going through a conflict between his own dharmic nature and the adharmic nature that was getting imposed as a result of food he was eating. Because of that, constantly his mouth was being tied out. But today what happened was, the arrows of Arjuna purified his body because all that bad blood was let out from his body. So today, because of that, his own nature of sattvic nature and pure nature and dharmic nature is coming out, and therefore he is able to purely speak pure messages. So this answer he gives to Draupadi.
Oh, super, Swami. Thank you so much.
Ready?
Very inspiring.
Jai Shri Swami.
Ready.
Wonderful session as always. One
Ready.
thing I was reflecting on, hopefully, I'm thinking this is maybe a very basic question, so please pardon me.
No worries.
When you were saying that when we feel that happiness, like when sometimes when I'm reading Ramayana or when I'm engrossed in reading some episode, for example, I feel very happy just looking at certain attributes, whatever is going on, right? And I never thought until today that I should think that this happiness is for Paramatma's sake and not for my sake. So what can you, if you don't mind, can you clarify a little bit more, Swami, on how to think about that? Say you're reading something and you feel that happiness, then should we feel the happiness or should we not feel the happiness, or should we go to Paramatma and say, Paramatma, this is all because of you, so I surrender even this happiness to you? Like, how should we think about this?
So ultimately, the jiva is meant for Paramatma's sake. That means everything that belongs to the jiva is for Paramatma's sake only. So what we are talking here is a very advanced state of consciousness. It's like this. If we take a material example, let's say, when our child, right, we don't expect them to share anything with others, right? But if they share something with others, let's say, it's an orange or something, right, that they love to eat that orange, let's say, and we are the ones who are purchasing that orange and giving it to them, right? We don't expect the child to share the orange with us or with others. But if the child, the first thing the child does is, takes out, one of the pieces of that orange and gives it back to us out of love. There is a certain joy that the child experiences, but the joy that the parent experiences is much more, right? Now the child, because of the age or immaturity at the level of which the child is there, the child may not understand the amount of joy that the mother is experiencing, when you offer that, piece to the mother. Because what the mother is seeing is, wow, my child is, has developed this broad-minded consciousness that she wants to offer it to me and then take, right? We experience much more joy than the child, right? The child may feel that, okay, this is a principle, one has to be selfless, one has to share it. This is about the joy that the child experiences. The day the child is able to understand that this act will make my mother more happy, and it is for mother's happiness that I'm doing, irrespective of whether it makes me happy or not, that day the child is much more advanced. So that is the state of consciousness that we are talking about here. Initially, it may be okay. Naturally, the process of devotional service or bhakti towards Paramatma is susukham. Krishna says in 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, susukham kartum avyayam. So it is naturally happiness giving. The entire process is very blissful. All Bhagavatas are very nice people. The association, the activities, everything that we do in relation to Paramatma, even the scriptures, commentaries, acharyas, everything is very nice. But initially, we may be in that level of maturity where all of this is happiness giving to us. But we have to evolve our consciousness to that extent where we think that ultimately, if my happiness is 0.05%, how much happy Paramatma is feeling with everything that I'm doing. So it is when we think about that and we think that, wow, so I'm making Paramatma happy. So this happiness to Paramatma is what I should be giving constantly. When our thought evolves to that extent, that's when we are getting into that state of consciousness. Am I being helpful, Ramyaji, in what I'm saying, or do you need?
This is very clear, Swami. Thank you. Amazing perspective. I haven't thought about that, but when you told to me like how you talk to a child about an orange, then it all came together.
Okay.
That's a Madi.
Thank you. Okay. So there's nothing else, and we will hang up for today.
Jai Shri Narayana, Swami. With your permission, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining. See you again.
Adiyan Dasoham adiyan.
Jai Shri.
Jai Shri.
Thank you.
Jai Shri.
Yes,